Hey guys, I'm Pixel Dan, and this is a review of the Nickelodeon Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Krang. The Utrom known as Krang. Now, Krang or the Utroms have shown up in all the different iterations of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but have always kind of varied. Most of us probably remember Krang as the evil henchman of Shredder in the vintage cartoon and toy line, but he's not always been the same character in all these series, so I'm interested to see how this guy's going to turn out in the new animated series. Now, the figure comes in the standard TMNT blister card packaging featuring those bright purples and greens. And the back of that packaging gives us a brief bio for Krang, as well as an image of the character from the new animated series. And below that, we get a look at the other figures currently available in the first wave. Alright, so let's take a look at Krang in his android body outside of the packaging. Now, the android body is another thing that does always seem to differ. A lot of us remember the big bulky one from the vintage cartoon, or if you were a fan of the 2003 series, well, you found out that Shredder was actually a Utrom, so it was almost like they merged Krang and Shredder into one character. Hope that's not a big spoiler for you guys. So this version of Krang looks like he's back to being a Utrom, and he's in an android body, but it's a very skinny, slender android body. The paint job's actually really nice on there. It's gray, but it's got some silver streaking on there, so it's a really nice added detail. One of the other things I've noticed on there is you look on the back, you can see all these pink tentacle-looking things coming up the back and going up his neck and the arms and the legs. I'm curious if those are actually tentacles from Krang himself that are controlling the android, or if those are merely pink cables. Now, the articulation is very, very lacking on this one. The head is on a ball joint, so you can roll it all around. The arms are also on a bit of ball joints, so they do have some good movement up and down, and you can move them forward, backward just a little bit, but there's no other articulation in the arms whatsoever, so they're stuck in the poses that they're in. And then the legs are only able to move forward and backwards on those swivel joints, and there's no other articulation under that. The knees, the feet, the ankles, they're all stuck in one of those terrible battle poses. So there is only one way to stand this droid up. Here's one thing that is really great about this, though. The little Krang is removable from the belly of the android. You can pop him right out, and he's actually made of a very soft, rubbery plastic, which is very cool. He's even got a little hole in the bottom of him, so you can plug him onto your fingers or plug him onto the heads of your Ninja Turtles. It's really neat, and he's got 3 little tentacles coming off of each side of him, and a very cool, mean scowl on his face. So I really like that he's able to be removed from the belly. Now, as far as accessories go, he comes with 2 blasters, both different looking, and those can be held in either one of his hands, so you can have them posed in some double blasting action or just one blaster at a time. Alright guys, it's comparison time! Here's a look at Krang standing alongside the vintage version that had the walker. So you can see that there actually are some similarities between the styles of Krang himself, but there is a big size difference. Now here he is alongside the vintage Krang in his android body, the 5-inch version of this. This one had a much smaller Krang in the stomach. So you can pop that little plastic thing out, and he's very undetailed, and you can see the scale difference between the 2 figures. Now, unfortunately, I don't have the 2003 version of the Utrom, which was very similar in style to this new Krang. But you can see all these guys standing side by side and get a good idea of the difference and the similarities. But here's one thing I think is really cool, and I have to point it out. You know that 5-inch Krang android body that I showed you from the old vintage line? Well, you could pop out that little plastic Krang, and this new squishy Krang fits inside of the stomach, and it looks really cool. So, that's a different display option for you guys. So this Krang figure is in the 5-inch scale. He's actually about the same size as Shredder and the Foot Soldiers, which means even though his legs are in crouching position, he's still taller than all of the Turtles. Despite the fact that his articulation is very lacking, this is a really nice looking figure. He definitely benefits from having one of the more detailed paint jobs than all of the other guys, and I just love that squishy little Krang in his stomach. So the fun factor is still very high on this one, and I'd still recommend picking him up. Krang and all of the other figures in this first wave are starting to hit store shelves right now, but if you don't want to do any hunting, then head on over to www.nerdragetoys.com for a great selection of Ninja Turtles toys and much more. Until next time,